Colin Kaepernick is still working out. He's said to be, in the words of one source, in the best shape of his life. He wants to play. He's ready to play, and he would be a great fit for teams with quarterback vacancies to fill who want to win a Super Bowl. That tweet in response to a video of Kaepernick working out. Kimberly Martin back here with us, and Damian Woody. High praise there in that tweet that we just saw from Adam Schefter. Kimberly, let me ask you this. Is now the time for a team to sign Kaepernick?
Is it the time? Yes. We've talked heading into free agency about how there's so many teams that desperately need quarterbacks and there aren't enough quarterbacks to go around. So timing-wise, it would make sense. There's a different question, though, of whether that will happen. And that's where I think the sticking point is, because it's been 5 years, I believe, since he was last on the field. And even when the kneeling controversy happened, he wasn't a starter. He was a backup at that point. So you have 5 years of him being away from the game. And so NFL teams currently had years to try him out, to bring him in, and didn't. But as we've seen, Brian Flores' lawsuit, you thought, oh, that'd be the end of Brian Flores. Like, he understands what he's given up by filing a lawsuit against the league and the Dolphins. Well, guess what? He's on a staff. Granted, it's a position that he's beyond overqualified for, but he is on an NFL staff right now. So if there's a moment in the NFL where it's clear that, the NFL understands that Kaepernick was denied opportunities, because let's be honest, he was denied opportunities. And that's why I feel that he should get a shot to try out. Not saying he's got to be your starter, but give him a shot, because he was denied those fair opportunities 5 years ago, and that's not right.
Yeah, and by that Brian Flores, Damian, let me just say quickly, the Brian Flores distinction, notice the team that brought him in. Mike Tomlin's the head coach, African-American. The team that started the Rooney Rule, the Pittsburgh Steelers, none of it by accident. Damian, what do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think Kimberly brings up a good point. Should Colin Kaepernick get a shot? Absolutely. I mean, you look at the lack of depth at the quarterback position as it relates to the National Football League. We're seeing all these transactions from teams just trying to, in some fashion, trying to get a quarterback. We've seen, Carson Wentz go from team to team to team in a matter of a couple of years, all because there's just not enough quarterbacks in the National Football League. And, the situation with Colin Kaepernick, yes, I understand. Colin Kaepernick hasn't played in the game since 2016. But I'm still of the impression that there's no one that can tell me as of right now that there's 64 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now than Colin Kaepernick. There's just not. There's just not. We saw a situation with your own New York Football Giants last year when they played the Washington Commanders, where they literally did a quarterback. Jake Fromm, the quarterback at the time with the New York Football Giants, did a quarterback sneak from their own end zone rather than put the ball in the quarterback's hand. Think about that. They didn't have enough faith in their quarterback to go out there and make a play. They ran a quarterback sneak from their own end zone rather than put faith in their quarterback. Like, if that doesn't tell you that there's a lack of quarterbacks in the National Football League, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, here's one thing I want to say. Obviously, we all collectively feel that Colin Kaepernick should have a shot. And it's unfortunate that it's been 4 years, now maybe 5, like you pointed out. So that wasn't his fault. He was ready to go all along. And it just makes me think of Tim Tebow, because I think it'd been 10 years since he'd played in a game, and he got the chance and he got brought in. Obviously, it was at the tight end position by his former coach, who's no longer there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But Damian, this is where I want to get more realistic with it, right? How hard is that to not have played in the league for 4+ years? Say somebody does give him an opportunity, which we think he should, and if there's any year, it should be this year, to not have played in that long and to step on the field at the quarterback position.
Molly, it's extremely hard. I mean, what we're talking about is like Colin Kaepernick, climbing Mount Everest. Like, it's, you only get better at football by actually playing football, right? So the fact that we haven't seen Colin Kaepernick play in an actual game since 2016, this is a huge mountain to climb as far as, getting back to the league. Not only just getting back into the league, but actually playing meaningful plays in an actual game. I mean, because we're talking about the hardest position in all of sports, and that the quarterback position, in a league that's constantly evolving as a league. And I know people will talk about, Colin's skill set kind of is falls in line with what we're seeing from these quarterbacks now. But when you're not playing, and getting better at your craft, it makes it that much harder to assimilate yourself back into a competitive league like the National Football League.
Kimberly, what are you hearing?
Well, unfortunately for Kaepernick, I was checking in with people yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the workout video? What do you think about his chances? And the responses I was getting, although not shocking, I mean, people are like, okay, he worked out. He can keep tweeting workout videos. That nobody's going to sign him because, as Damian is saying, to be out of the game so long, again, no fault of his own, but to be out of the game so long, and then, you use a roster spot for somebody that now has to get acclimated. The first thing someone said to me was like, the game is different. Even though we're seeing these dual threat quarterbacks, we're praising guys like Justin Herbert, not obviously Lamar Jackson, but even Joe Burrow and Josh Allen for being, elusive and explosive and athletic. We're crediting them. We're giving them praise for that. Kaepernick was that in his prime. But the thing that league execs tell me is the game has changed. And
thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.